Seniors over 60 drink coffee, but never make these 5 dangerous mistakes. Coffee is the morning ritual that millions of seniors hold dear. The warmth of the cup, the aroma filling the kitchen, the comfort of routine feels harmless, even healthy. But what if I told you that the very way you drink your daily coffee could secretly be damaging your heart, your bones, even your memory? Recent studies reveal that after age 60, simple coffee habits that seemed harmless in your 40s or 50s can suddenly become dangerous. And the mistakes most people make are so common, you may be committing them without even realizing it. That's why today, we're uncovering the 5 dangerous coffee mistakes seniors over 60 must avoid and how changing just a few small habits could protect your health and even add years to your life. Stay with me, because mistake number 5 is the one almost everyone overlooks, and it could be the most dangerous of all. Mistake number 5, drinking coffee too late in the day. Many seniors assume that caffeine only keeps you awake for an hour or two. But after age 60, the way your body processes caffeine changes dramatically. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that older adults metabolize caffeine almost twice as slowly as younger people. That means the cup of coffee you drink at 3 or 4 p.m. could still be stimulating your brain late into the night, even if you don't feel it right away. Poor sleep isn't just an annoyance, it accelerates memory decline, raises blood pressure, and weakens your immune system. And yet, many seniors brush off a restless night as just part of aging, not realizing their late coffee is partly to blame. One 72-year-old woman shared how she thought her insomnia was simply age-related, until her doctor asked when she drank her last cup. She stopped having her afternoon coffee, and within 2 weeks, her sleep improved by hours each night. Imagine the difference in energy, mood, and even balance the next day when your body finally gets real rest. Better tip for seniors over 60. Set a caffeine cutoff: no coffee after 1 p.m. If you crave the comfort of a warm drink later in the day, switch to herbal tea or decaf. This simple change can protect your brain, improve sleep, and give your heart the rest it needs. Mistake number 4, adding too much sugar and cream. One of the most dangerous traps seniors fall into isn't the coffee itself, it's what they put in it. A little sugar here, a splash of flavored creamer there, it feels harmless. But those little additions add up to big health risks after 60, according to the American Heart Association. Seniors who consume just 2 tablespoons of flavored coffee creamer daily can add over 50 grams of hidden sugar and unhealthy trans fats every single week. These fats and sugars don't just affect your waistline. They raise LDL cholesterol, trigger inflammation, and even accelerate bone density loss, which is already a major risk for women over 60. The truth is, many creamers marketed as fat-free or sugar-free aren't truly safe. They're often packed with artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated oils, and chemicals that stress the liver and pancreas. One study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that older adults who consumed artificial sweeteners daily had a 67% higher risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. And here's the catch: many seniors add both sugar and artificial sweeteners, thinking they're balancing it out, when in reality, they're doubling the damage. I'll never forget the story of Robert, a 68-year-old retired teacher. He loved his morning coffee, light and sweet. 2 sugars, plenty of creamer, every day. He thought it was better than eating pastries or desserts. But during a routine checkup, his doctor found his triglycerides had shot up, his blood sugar was unstable, and he was developing fatty liver disease, all traced back to those coffee additions. When he cut back, switched to a splash of milk and cinnamon instead, his numbers improved dramatically within 3 months. The danger is, subtle coffee feels healthy, but when loaded with cream and sugar, it silently turns into a dessert. After 60, the body simply doesn't process sugar and fat as efficiently. which makes each cup a small but repeated hit to your heart and metabolism. Better tip, if you love creaminess, try unsweetened almond milk or oat milk and replace sugar with a sprinkle of cinnamon or cocoa powder. Not only will you cut out the hidden sugars and fats, but you'll also add antioxidants that fight inflammation and protect your brain. Mistake number 3. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. This is a mistake so many seniors make without thinking, rolling out of bed, reaching straight for the coffee pot and sipping that first cup before a single bite of food. It feels natural. The smell of coffee wakes you up, the warmth feels comforting, and the caffeine gives an immediate burst of alertness. But here's the hidden danger. After 60, your stomach lining is thinner. Your gut bacteria are more fragile, and your body is more vulnerable to acid imbalances. Coffee is naturally acidic, and when consumed on an empty stomach, it increases stomach acid production. For younger people, the body may buffer this fairly well. But for seniors, it often leads to gastritis, indigestion, acid reflux, and in some cases, even ulcers. A study from the National Institute on Aging highlighted how seniors who regularly consumed acidic beverages, including coffee, before breakfast had a significantly higher risk of developing chronic acid reflux, which is directly linked to esophageal damage and even cancer. And the scary part is that symptoms don't always show up immediately. Many older adults ignore a little heartburn here and there, chalking it up to aging, when in reality, years of drinking coffee on an empty stomach are quietly eroding the esophagus and weakening the gut. It doesn't end there. Drinking coffee before food also spikes cortisol, your body's stress hormone. For people over 60, where cortisol regulation is already less stable, this can trigger blood pressure spikes, anxiety, and even muscle breakdown over time. In fact, researchers from Kyoto University in Japan found that older adults who consumed coffee before meals had 32% higher morning cortisol levels compared to those who had it after breakfast. Elevated cortisol isn't just about stresses tied to memory decline, belly fat, and weakened immunity. Then there's blood sugar. Seniors are more prone to insulin resistance. And when you drink coffee first thing without food, caffeine causes a sharper rise in blood sugar. That sudden spike can lead to a crash later in the morning, leaving you shaky, irritable, and craving more sugar or carbs. I remember one woman, Linda, 74, who told me she would drink coffee alone in the morning, then feel dizzy and foggy by 10 a.m. She thought it was early dementia. Her doctor suggested she eat a small protein-rich snack before her coffee, and almost overnight, those dizzy spells vanished. It wasn't dementia, it was blood sugar crashing. And let's not forget bone health. Seniors already face the risk of osteoporosis, and coffee on an empty stomach worsens calcium excretion. Without food to buffer it, caffeine forces the kidneys to push more calcium out in the urine. Over time, this means weaker bones, higher fracture risk, and slower healing if a fall occurs. A broken hip at 70 or 80 can mean the difference between independence and permanent disability, and something as simple as your morning coffee routine could be contributing to that risk. Better tip: never drink your coffee before eating something small. Even half a banana, a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter, or a handful of almonds can protect your stomach, stabilize your blood sugar, and reduce calcium loss. Your coffee will still give you energy, but now it will work with your body instead of against it. Seniors who follow this one tip often report better digestion, fewer dizzy spells, and more steady energy throughout the day. Mistake number 2: drinking too much coffee in a day for many seniors. Coffee is more than a drink. It's a routine that structures the entire day. Morning cup with the newspaper, a refill mid-morning, another in the afternoon while chatting with friends, and sometimes even one after dinner. It feels innocent because coffee is natural, and you've been drinking it for decades. But here's the truth. After 60, the body processes caffeine much more slowly. And what used to feel like a harmless habit can now become dangerous. Research from Johns Hopkins University shows that caffeine's half-life in older adults can stretch as long as 12 hours. That means the cup you sip at 10 a.m. could still be circulating in your bloodstream when you go to bed. But it's not only about insomnia. Excess caffeine stresses the heart, elevates blood pressure, and overstimulates the nervous system. Seniors are especially vulnerable because age naturally weakens the elasticity of blood vessels. Combine that with too much coffee, and you have a recipe for heart palpitations, anxiety, dizziness, and even atrial fibrillation. In fact, a study in the European Heart Journal found that adults over 60 who consumed more than 400 milligrams of caffeine daily, just 3 to 4 strong cups, had a significantly higher risk of irregular heart rhythms. There's also a hidden connection between overconsumption and bone health. Caffeine in high amounts leaches calcium from the bones, and after menopause, women are already at a steep risk of osteoporosis. Drinking 5 or 6 cups a day can literally speed up bone thinning, making falls and fractures far more likely. This is not theory. It's been observed in large population studies from Sweden and the US, where women over 65 who drank 4 or more cups daily had up to 66% higher fracture risk than moderate drinkers. I once spoke with a 70-year-old man named Carl, who prided himself on being sharp and active because he drank coffee constantly. But he started noticing trembling hands, frequent urination, and episodes of racing heartbeats. His doctor told him bluntly, "You're overdosing on caffeine." When he cut back to just 2 cups per day, the tremors disappeared. His sleep improved, and even his digestion became more regular. What felt like an energy booster was actually draining his health. And here's something many seniors don't realize. Coffee is often served in oversized mugs today. What you call one cup may actually be 2 or even 3 servings. So when you think you're having just 3 cups, you could easily be consuming the caffeine equivalent of 6. Better tip: seniors should limit coffee to no more than 1 to 2 standard cups per day, and always stay aware of cup size. If you crave more warmth or flavor, alternate with decaf or soothing herbal teas. This small adjustment protects your heart, bones, and sleep while still letting you enjoy the comfort of coffee. Mistake number 1: mixing coffee with medications or health conditions. This is by far the most dangerous coffee mistake for seniors over 60. And the reason is simple. After this age, coffee is no longer just a drink. It becomes a chemical interaction. Caffeine, acids, and oils in coffee interact with dozens of the most commonly prescribed medications for older adults, and the results can silently sabotage treatment or, in some cases, create dangerous side effects that send people to the hospital. Let's begin with blood pressure medications. More than 70% of adults over 60 are on some form of antihypertensive drug, like beta blockers or ACE inhibitors. These medications are meant to keep blood pressure stable and reduce strain on the heart. But coffee works in the opposite direction. It raises heart rate and tightens blood vessels, leading to an immediate rise in blood pressure. A study published in the American Journal of Hypertension found that 1 cup of coffee could raise systolic blood pressure by 8 to 10 points in seniors, even in those already on medication. That means the drug is trying to lower your blood pressure while the coffee is forcing it higher. The result? Fluctuations that stress the heart and increase the risk of heart attack or stroke. Many seniors think their medication is weak or not working, when in reality, their coffee habit is undermining it every single morning. Now consider osteoporosis medications, such as bisphosphonates like Fosamax or Boniva. These drugs need to be absorbed on an empty stomach to strengthen bone density. But research in the Journal of Bone and Mineral research revealed that drinking coffee within just 30 minutes of taking these pills reduced absorption by up to 60%. Imagine faithfully taking your medication every day, believing you're protecting your bones, while in reality, the coffee you drink immediately after is canceling out much of its effect. For seniors, where fractures can mean permanent loss of mobility, this is no small matter. It doesn't stop there. Coffee also interferes with thyroid medications such as levothyroxine. Millions of older adults depend on this drug to maintain energy, metabolism, and mental clarity. But a landmark study in the journal Thyroid demonstrated that seniors who drank coffee within an hour of levothyroxine had significantly lower hormone absorption, leading to fatigue, weight gain, and depression symptoms that mimic worsening thyroid disease. Some patients even had their doses unnecessarily increased, when the real problem was the timing of their morning coffee. And then there are antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs, which are prescribed frequently to seniors. Caffeine can amplify side effects like jitteriness, insomnia, and rapid heartbeat, making these medications feel harsher than they should. In certain cases, coffee actually changes the way drugs are metabolized in the liver, either speeding them up or slowing them down. The same is true with some antibiotics, where caffeine clearance is reduced, meaning coffee lingers longer in the system and produces stronger, sometimes uncomfortable side effects. Beyond medications, coffee can worsen existing health conditions. Seniors with acid reflux or GERD often find their symptoms are much more severe after drinking coffee, particularly on an empty stomach. Coffee relaxes the lower esophageal sphincter, the small muscle that keeps stomach acid where it belongs. Over time, repeated reflux can lead to Barrett's esophagus, a condition that raises cancer risk. For those with heart arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation, coffee acts as a stimulant that can trigger episodes. A study in Frontiers in Medicine found that older adults with atrial fibrillation who drank more than 2 cups per day had a 75% higher chance of hospitalization compared to those who kept caffeine intake low. Let me share the story of Joan, a 66-year-old grandmother. She had been faithfully taking her osteoporosis medication for years, but kept breaking small bones in her wrists and ribs. Doctors couldn't understand why her bone scans weren't improving. Finally, one physician asked about her daily routine. Joan admitted she swallowed her pill first thing in the morning, then immediately brewed her coffee. She thought she was being consistent and responsible, but in fact, her coffee habit was undoing years of treatment. When she simply adjusted her schedule, waiting 1 full hour after medication before drinking her coffee, her bone scans began to improve for the first time in years. The lesson here is powerful. Seniors often view coffee as something separate from their medical life, but the truth is, coffee is pharmacologically active, and after 60, every sip interacts more strongly with the body than it did before, with multiple prescriptions, fragile organs, and slower metabolism. Coffee can either be a comforter, a hidden enemy. Better. Tip: always create a buffer zone between your medications and your coffee. Wait at least 1 hour after taking pills before your first sip, and if you take multiple medications in the morning, ask your doctor or pharmacist which ones are sensitive to coffee interactions, if you live with heart, stomach, or bone conditions. Consider reducing coffee to just 1 cup per day, or switching partly to decaf. Remember, protecting your health after 60 isn't about giving up the things you love, it's about timing, balance, and understanding how your daily rituals affect your body in ways you may not see until it's too late. So here's the truth, my friends. Coffee itself is not the villain. In fact, countless studies show that coffee in moderation can protect the heart, sharpen the brain, and even lower the risk of certain cancers. But after 60, it's no longer just about the drink. Tea's about the details. The time you drink it, what you add to it, how many cups you allow, whether you eat first, and most importantly, how it interacts with your medications and conditions. Those details are the difference between coffee being your daily ally or your hidden enemy. Think about it this way. You've spent decades building routines that comfort you, morning rituals. Favorite mugs, the familiar aroma filling the kitchen. And routines matter at this stage of life. But wisdom after 60 means looking deeper. The habits that once seemed harmless may now demand small adjustments. A cutoff time in the afternoon to protect your sleep, choosing milk and cinnamon instead of sugar and cream to protect your heart. A simple piece of toast before your first sip to protect your stomach. Pausing 1 hour after medication to protect your bones and thyroid. None of these require you to give up coffee. Instead, they transform coffee from a hidden risk into a safe, enjoyable part of healthy aging. I'm reminded of Margaret, a 72-year-old woman who told me she almost gave up coffee entirely because she felt it was hurting her health. She had trouble sleeping, her bones were weak, and her medications weren't working. But with just a few changes earlier cutoff time, no sugar, eating before drinking, and separating it from her morning pills, she not only kept her coffee, but began feeling stronger, sleeping deeper, and smiling brighter. She didn't lose her ritual. She reclaimed it. That's the message for every senior watching this. You don't need to give up the comfort you love you. Just need to enjoy it wisely. And here's something else to remember. Aging doesn't mean giving up control. It means using experience to make smarter choices. Coffee is a gift when handled with care, but a danger when ignored. The choice is yours. Now I want to hear from you. Do you recognize yourself in any of these mistakes? Have you ever felt restless, dizzy, or had your medications mysteriously stop working only to realize your coffee routine might be the culprit? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could help another senior avoid years of unnecessary struggle. And if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe and join our community of seniors who are determined to age, not just gracefully, but powerfully, because after 60, every choice matters. And sometimes, the smallest choice, like how you drink your coffee, can change the entire course of your health.